Hello everyone, this is Bora. Welcome back for another build showcase and guide. This time featuring the Poison and Bone Necro, specifically the Telestomping, Poison Nova, and Desecrate build. This character is a ton of fun to play, specifically as a solo gameplay character. I'll speak to it a little more as we go, but basically, as a team player, you don't add a ton, specifically because poison spells do damage over time. Poison Nova over 2 seconds, Desecrate over 3 seconds. So what will happen when you get into maps? You'll cast your Curse, you'll cast your Poison Nova or your Desecrate, and before the damage is even kicked in, the unit is dead. So that said, doesn't mean that you're completely useless in maps. You do cast lower resist, which is hugely synergistic with a lot of really popular builds right now. The Dragon Din, the Tesla Din, Javazon, all those things are going to benefit when you're in their party. So you're definitely not going to be a drag. You will help, but the game might not be as fun for you. That said, one of the fastest solo mappers or just any game content clearers out there. I'm not gonna lie, I just filmed. I just spent about an hour filming a Poison Necro video with the 30 faster cast rate build. And as I was doing the gameplay, I realized that I hated it. I do prefer the 75. A lot of people might disagree with that. But when you telestomp, you're jumping into really, really spicy packs of monsters. You're getting hit. Obviously, you're going to have max block. You're going to have a good, faster hit recovery, but you still need to cast faster to actually get out of that pack. I did realize that as I was getting hit, it was actually still hard to. Well, I wasn't dying, but it was still hard to teleport out. So if you can do the 75 faster cast rate without losing a ton of damage, definitely recommend it. That said, I'm still going to showcase a bit of the build for the 30 faster cast rate build, which is still very strong and still definitely viable. This 75 faster cast rate is my preference. I will also say that I did experiment with 125 faster cast rate. It is completely useless. It's more of a PvP idea if you're trying to chase around really fast sorceress or something like that. Then maybe we'll talk about 125 at that point. But for PVM, I like the 75. 30 is viable. Definitely don't go 125. You'll lose too much damage. Quickly, we will start with the skills. I am pre-buffed. I just went down because I just respec and I just wanted to see how things were looking. All you want for strength, and this is pretty much the case with every character in PD2, enough strength for your gear, enough dexterity. This is obviously not applicable to every character in PD2, but for this one in specific, because you are a telestomper, you're definitely going to want max block. This is hugely important. You're going to be jumping into massive packs of monsters. If you don't have max block, you're going to die. So definitely an important concept on this character. And then you dump the rest into vitality. The amount of dexterity that you need is actually hugely variable based on some of the corruptions that you have on your gear. So I'll talk about that as we go through the gear, which I will jump into now. As you can see, I have a bunch of stuff in my inventory that these are all gear swaps that are still viable, and you guys can really choose how you want to swap them in and out. With all my builds, this isn't the perfect build by any means, but I do like to bring in a couple of pieces of gear that are best in slot. This Death's Web is certainly a good one. It does have the +1 all skill corruption, and on perfect, not 100% perfect, but perfect in the areas that you want it to be. +2 to P and B skills and -50 poison resist. 2 open socket with 2 facets in it as well. If you do build one of these, you'll notice very quickly when you put 1 facet in any slot of gear, your damage takes a huge jump. It's actually quite shocking to me as I was putting the facets in my gear. The helmet, I would say that this is really the only option. The Steel Shade. Now, there's a number of different corruptions you can go for, but in terms of the helmet, definitely Steel Shade. Now, this is an interesting one because this was not a popular item at all in vanilla. They did add plus skills to it in PD2, which made it viable. And the reason that it's so popular for this Necro and why you maybe have seen it in the PD2 Discord trade chat or on the trade site, the 30% faster block rate and the 20% increased chance of blocking. You'd be shocked to learn how much dex it actually saves you every time you have this increased chance of blocking mod on any of your gear. For instance, I did switch from this, which has 30, to this, which has 40, and it did save me 23 dexterity, which again all goes back into vitality at a point. So any chance that you have to get that mod, via corruption, that is certainly a good one for the Necro. Faster hit recovery going to be another one. But anyway, let's continue on with the gear. I do use Maras or Maras, whatever you want to call it. This one has the +1 all skills corruption, best in slot. Obviously, I could have gone for 30 resist. However, if you are aiming for the 75 faster cast rate build, you might need to swap this out for something with FCR. I've done a number of failed experiments with this with this character, but all told, and so I do have a bunch of different gear swaps. You can get faster cast rate on your Maras. You can get a big faster cast rate amulet if you're struggling to get the faster cast rate anywhere else. So these are all viable options. You might lose a bit of damage, but I prefer the 75 faster cast rate, and I also prefer it while keeping the Bramble. Now, if you look at just Bramble quickly, 50 faster hit recovery. Again, FHR is so important for your Necro. You're going to want to hit the 86 breakpoint for sure. I mean, maybe you can pull off the 56 breakpoint. But either way, I like the Bramble because of the 50 faster hit recovery, but obviously the big metric here that we're looking at is the poison skill damage. Now this one has 47 out of a possible 50. This armor does have a large variance, however, it's not a huge rune investment, so I do recommend you try to get something over 40. But that's it. It's going to be viable either way. It also does add to mana, max cold resist, fire resist, poison resist, so overall great armor. If you are struggling to hit 75 faster cast rate, while using Bramble, you can definitely switch to something like this. And Atma's, this could have 2 open sockets. Puzzle box wasn't in my favor this time. This does have a +1 all skills corruption, or you could do something like this that has faster cast rate corruption. This one has 2 open sockets, but you would want to socket with facets. Again, when you start to build your character, each time you place a facet in your gear, you'll see why you want that to be kind of the exclusive jewel in all of your slots. For shield, I've gone with the Homunculus. This one has the 10 FCR corruption. This brings me to 75 in conjunction with the rest of my gear. Another great corruption on this is obviously just the +1 all skills. They're probably hard to come by, but you do want it with 2 sockets. Love this shield. 30% faster block rate, 40% increased chance of blocking. Saves you a ton of dex. Even with respect to the Trangules, again, I think it saved me about 23 dex just with that extra 10%. And it does offer all resists, where the Trangules doesn't. This is a hell game. You'll see that I'm maxed. When I was using the Trang set, I found it a little bit harder to get to max, specifically with lightning resist, because this offers fire and poison, your belt offers cold, your gloves offer cold, your armor offers poison and fire, but nothing really covers the lightning, so you do end up having to use charms like this that add, just faster hit recovery and lightning resist, but we'll get to the inventory later. So I've chosen the Homunculus. I have 25 faster cast rate Tranquil's gloves. This is a great opportunity for you to get faster cast rate. Obviously, you can get up to 30 from this one piece. So again, you'll see as I kind of showcase the gear, there are a lot of opportunities for you to get faster cast rate. Some of them are very pricey. Here's one of them, a 10 FCR SOJ. Don't really recommend it. Again, there's just other opportunities to get faster cast rate. Same with this. This is a 30 faster cast rate rack. Again, very expensive, and you just have other opportunities. You might suffer, again, in damage just a little bit, but you definitely can go for something like this, especially if you can find something, 20 faster cast rate with resistance, which I bought one. I don't know where it is, but you can also go with the 20 faster cast rate ring. This one wasn't hugely expensive, and the stats are really good. A lot of life, 13 stats, 20 FCR. This is going to be a good one. And I use another SOJ. Now, just quickly on the rings, I think BK rings are probably better. They do add life. You don't really struggle with mana on this build. You more struggle with life, actually. We'll talk about Blood Warp later, but it's essentially your teleport. Every time you cast it, you lose 8% of your maximum life. Not your current life, your maximum life. So it does really hurt to teleport around, which is one of the drawbacks of the 75 FCR. But again, I think there's a give and take there because faster cast rate does eventually increase your survivability if you get into a really spicy mob and you need to teleport out. The lower FCR might not do it for you. So I do think BK rings are better. If you're not using FCR on your BK ring, the ideal corruption is life after each kill. Now that's going to be a super important corruption for you, no matter what build you go. If you go with the 3-piece trangs, whatever you want to do, if you go 30 faster cast rate, the life after each kill is a super great corruption. Again, Blood Warp, you're teleporting around, you're losing a lot of life. Anytime you kill a unit, if you have that +3 life after each kill, you're going to get a lot of it back, and you're really never going to be in danger. And you'll see when I do gameplay later that sometimes you get pretty low in life if you are teleporting around and you're getting hit by big mobs. I've gone with Water Walks here. Great overall boot, faster block rate, a lot of dex, which helps you get to max block, pure life. These have the cannot be frozen. Again, you're going to need to get that from somewhere. I think that's why a lot of people like using this trangs. It just simplifies the build a lot more. You can just do, if cannot be frozen here, if you just swap this out, first of all, it gives a lot of stats. This is not a particularly good roll on the shield. Potential for 28 strength, 18 dex, big res. This has cannot be frozen. The 3 pieces together actually add -25 to enemy poison resist, which is very strong. Can't understate that this build is viable. A lot of people like it better. I simply just, for my style of gameplay, I do prefer the 75 FCR. I think even 75 FCR is achievable while using the 3-piece trangs, but then you might have to take a Bramble. It gets a little wishy-washy. You might even have to have 10 FCR on the Death's Web, which isn't very common. Anyway, you can do it, but might not be super optimal. So this is the build that I prefer. For the boot slot, now there are a couple of different options, and I'll run through them now. You can definitely just use War Travs if you like MF. I've seen a couple people use Silkweave. It's something I can't really figure out. I do see that it has 5 mana after each kill. You can get the life after each kill corruption on it as well. I think that's probably the main reason. In my head, I've been trying to theory craft. It does also have defense versus missiles. I don't know if that's just to protect you from archers in tier 3 maps. I really can't tell, but I have definitely seen people using Silkweaves. Marowaks are another option. They do offer huge stats, strength, as well as dexterity. However, they do require 118 strength, which, unless you're wearing Atmas, is probably going to be your highest strength requirement piece of gear. So you don't really get a ton of the benefit of the plus strength when your highest piece of strength requirement gear gives you strength. It kind of serves no benefit. However, it does have massive dexterity, helps you get to max block. Still, definitely pretty solid boot. And for inventory, you can go with something like this. This is a great charm, life and all res. You can also go for something like this, faster hit recovery, if you are lacking res. And again, you'll probably be lacking lightning resist if you do use the 3-piece trang. You can this will help you get you to your 86 faster hit recovery breakpoint, which you definitely want to be at, and it can help you get to your res. Charms like this are not particularly expensive, so if you're lacking a single res, definitely recommend these. For large charms, you just want lifers. You do want a couple of these 12% faster hit recovery grand charms just to help you, again, get to that 86. Hugely important. You're going to need it. So as you can see, I have all lifers. You want a good Torch and Annie, probably with preference on resist. Again, especially if you're using the Trank setup. But yeah, that basically covers off all the gear. For the Mercenary, there's really only one key thing to cover. I think it's this. I think you definitely want to be using Doom on your Mercenary. It gives Holy Freeze when you telestomp and you go into a big pack, freezes everything around you, gives you huge survivability because you're not getting hit while they're frozen, obviously. I think the rest of the gear is really subjective. If you really want to do a great job with your Mercenary, that's up to you. I don't think it's hugely necessary. If you've watched my other guides, you'll know that I always recommend the Crown of Ages. I just think it has too many good mods. Faster hit recovery, reduced curse duration, all res, PDR. It's just too strong. I love it for the Mercenary. Other people like G-Face. I'm not even going to try to say the proper name for G-Face. For gloves, these are terrible. I've just thrown them on as a placeholder, but a good pair of gloves here would be Drax. For belt, String of Veer is a great option. Life Leech, PDR. You could go with Dungos for the PDR. Whatever you choose. I think boots, typically you want to go Gore Riders will work, Treks will work, War Travs will work, whatever you want to do. For armor here, this is 2-throw. I think this is probably not the ideal setup. If you're going to use 2-throw where you have the Deadly Strike and all that, you probably want a higher damage base than this Man Catcher. Maybe like a Cryptic Axe, for instance. That might be better in conjunction with the 2-throw. Other options, of course, you could go with Leviathan, you could go Shaft Stop, Fortitude. Whatever you want to pick here is probably going to work for you. I don't give a ton of prominence to the Mercenary, as you've probably seen in my other builds. I think that the staple piece, like the Doom, is important, and then everything else is just kind of your choice. I'm going to jump into the skill build now. This might be a little adverse as well. I max lower resist. What that means is I am not maxing revive. I like just maxing low. I just personally, for my style of gameplay, I don't love the revives. I don't like spending my time on it. I don't find them entirely necessary. So I do avoid them. I go for the lower resist. It increases the radius. It increases the duration. Even 1 point, with all the plus skills you have, it's probably going to be enough just to do the radius and duration would be enough. I do like the big radius though because one of the weird gameplay elements about this Necromancer is you're kind of a bit of a piano player when you play it. You'll notice for whatever reason, I don't know why they've chosen this, you can only cast Amplify damage from your left hand. You can't cast your other curses. Again, don't know why. But what that means is you're going to be doing a lot of swapping on your right hand, which means you're using more hotkeys than you would with other characters, which is, it adds a lot to the character. It's a little more, you're in the driver's seat, you're buckled in, and the gameplay, might feel a little more robust to you. So that is one of the fun things about the character. However, I do think that if they just had curses on the left hand, it might simplify gameplay for a lot of people. But you are definitely swapping back and forth. So I don't like to have to swap back to my lower resist all the time. When you have the max lower resist, it basically covers the entire screen. You're not going to miss anything. In the summoning skill tab, you want to go to 29 in Blood Warp before Battle Command. And again, I did forget to mention, but on my Switch, I'm using a 6BO CTA, as high of a plus skill lidless as you can get, just so you can get that high level BO. And so Blood Warp, you want, after Battle Command, you want it to be level 30. It brings the cooldown to 0. Just makes for really fast teleporting. Again, you don't want to go too crazy with it because you do lose a lot of life, and we'll see that when we go to the gameplay. But either way, that's where you want to be for that. And now to the Poison of Bone. Just the synergies. Poison Dagger, Desecrate, as well as Poison Nova. I put 1 point in Bone Armor. It's not hugely impactful, but whatever. I think you have I haven't even used all of my skill points. I think what I would do is dump the rest of them into Amplify Damage, just to be a team player when you do maps. If it recalls for it, then you can swap to that. And I think, obviously that's not going to hurt, especially if you're playing with a lot of Bosons or, physical Zealers or anything like that, then Amplify Damage is a nice thing for them to have. So that's that's enough talk. Let's bring this character into a map. I'm just going to buy a couple of healing potions just to be safe. I did burn through oh no, I'm in a normal game. Alright, boys. We're doing a quick little swap here. Okay. So thankfully, I am still at hypothetically or technically max res. I do have a couple items that offer plus to max. Anyway, sorry for that little hiccup, boys. I'm gonna clear these out, go buy some supers, and then we will get on with gameplay. Probably won't take the time to clear my inventory. This is a not so spicy map. Already choking, as you can see. And so yeah, basically this is the way you're gonna play. You're gonna the density is so low on this that it's not very interesting. But you're just gonna let me try to find a big pack here. Okay, so you just cast your curse, your Poison Nova, and then you jump to the next pack. So curse, Poison Nova, onto the next. Dive in, curse, Poison Nova, onto the next. And so you're going to find that this is an incredibly fast character to play, especially solo mapping. And, a lot of people don't have friends that play 24/7, don't have the same schedules as you. So definitely, as a solo gameplay, this is an awesome hero to play. I think it's a ton of fun, and really, there's not much in the game that you can't do. Of course, you do run into some unbreakable poison resists, but lower resist takes care of most poison resists. Your Mercenary will take care of the rest. This is like the least juicy map I've ever seen. I'm really trying to find some big packs to kind of exemplify what this thing does here. But you'll see, basically, you just jump in, curse, Nova, walk away. Go on to the next, because they're going to die because you do so much damage. And again, curse, Nova, walk away. So that's just a little bit of gameplay. If you're to play in a team setting and you're playing that 8-player map, you're not going to be tele-stomping in an 8-player tier 3 map. You're going to die. Those are dangerous no matter what. The approach that you're going to take there is just to desecrate from afar. So you just, you let your team tank, you let them all run in, and you just cast Desecrate. You're not going to tele-stomp. You just let it happen from afar. Again, you cast your lower resist, help out your team. That'll be your first priority to do. And then the next thing that you'll do is start casting Desecrate. Again, because it does damage over time, not going to be hugely impactful in a team game because they're probably going to die before the damage really kicks in. But either way, here's a little spicier of a room, which is nice. Dive in. Curse, you'll see the max block is hugely impactful. Don't die like that. Oh, almost came close. And so curse, and then you just want to use Poison Nova everywhere you go. So you'll see that the faster cast rate is actually having quite an impact here. Again, if you're taking too many hits, then you will actually struggle with the low faster cast rate to get out of it. So on the boss, you do want to use Desecrate. You'll see it does. I'm not using Desecrate. There it is. You just want to cast it from afar. It does a ton of damage. Apologies for my gameplay, boys. It is a little hard to talk and multitask at the same time. But either way, boss is dead. He does die relatively quickly. My Merc actually died in the mix here, which isn't great, but it is what it is. He can be bought. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit of gameplay. And so again, there's really the two tactics for the tele-stomp. You just want to get in there, use your curse, use your Poison Nova, walk away onto the next because they will die typically to one Poison Nova. There is the odd case where maybe they do survive and you have to go back. But definitely 2 Poison Novas and they're sure to die. Again, I'll just go to my tooltip quickly. Showcase both of my damages. I think the range that you want to be in is about 21 to 33k. I think 33 is like pretty much the most you can achieve. I could be wrong about that. But even if you're on the lower end of that spectrum, you're going to be solo viable for sure. For a map, again, Desecrate doing 57k damage over time. You're going to be able to contribute, especially with the lower resist, just as so much. Again, a lot of the popular characters right now do huge elemental damage, like the Javazon, Tesla Dan, Dragon Dan, all those things. So you're going to be, you're still going to add value to your party. It just, you might not feel that you're getting, the killing blow on anything. But that said, do your maps with your friends, get your levels, go back to solo farming. hopefully you can clean up your gameplay a little better than I have. But again, all told, this is a super fun character to play, so definitely recommend building one of these. As always, guys, if you have any questions, I'm on Discord, Bora, Bora, hashtag 7700. I've been loving answering all the questions about my Boson guide, about my Physical Zeal guide. Now onto this. I do have more content coming. I never thought I'd be one of these people, but I will say like and subscribe if you do like my content. I'm not trying to monetize or anything like that, but I will be coming out with fresh content all the time.